Hey, welcome to Impact Disciple Making Podcast. I'm Mike Keaton, your host. Thanks for tuning in this week. I am here with Ken Adams, Senior Pastor of Crossroads Church and founder of Impact Discipleship Ministries. And today, we're trying to answer the question, why is the church not making disciples? So Ken, if it's as simple as making disciples, why are so few churches making disciples?
Well, that is $1 million question, man. And, I just recently read that about 90% of the churches in our country are either plateaued or declining. And, Mike, if that's anywhere even close to being accurate, then here's what's pretty clear, is that we're not making disciples in the local church the way Jesus really intended it to be. There's a passage in the book of Matthew. It's Matthew chapter 16, verse 18. And Jesus is speaking to Peter and he says, "And I tell you that you're Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it." And so Jesus makes a couple things really clear. Number one is that it is His church. It's not ours. And then number two is that He's got a plan to build it. And so I think the truth is that we need to be following His blueprint, and we need to be making disciples the way Jesus really intended for the church to do that. So a big part of the problem is that we're just not doing ministry the same way that Jesus did.
So, and I agree. And so, but how did that happen? How did we get so far off from a simple command to go and make disciples?
We have drifted is the problem. And so I think what has happened in an awful lot of churches is that we have just really lost sight of the original mission that Jesus gave the church. When Jesus, some of the very last words that Jesus even uttered was to go and make disciples. And over the last 2,000 years, we've just drifted farther and farther away from that very, very clear mandate. And so we do a lot of things well. We do worship well. We do fellowship well. We do Bible teaching well. We do evangelism well. We do a lot of things very well, but sometimes we just lose sight that all of those things should help produce disciples that are making more disciples. It's kind of like, the illustration, Mike, of a rocket when it's on the launch pad. If it's just slightly off course, when that rocket gets thousands of miles in space, it's going to be thousands of miles off target. And in some ways, same things happen to the church. When Jesus started the church, He started her the way He wanted it. Now He just wants the church the way He started it. So we've got to get back to being the church that Jesus designed and created us to be.
So if a church finds themselves way off target, but they realize that and they want to come back, what do they need to do to change that direction and that trajectory?
Yeah, I think what we have to do is we have to realign some things. When your front end of your car gets out of alignment, you're going to veer off course. You're going to have a hard time staying where you're supposed to be. Well, same thing can happen to the church. We can have so many bumps in the road, so to speak, that we get out of alignment. And so rather than the ministries and the functions of the church being aligned to producing a disciple of Jesus Christ, we have allowed our structures and strategies to produce something else. And so really and truly, it's hard to do. But sometimes we have to say no to some things we're doing. We have to say yes to things we need to be doing. And so really leaders have to make some very important decisions about bringing the church, the strategies, the systems, and the structures of the church back into alignment with the mission that Jesus gave us. Very clear. He didn't beat around the bush that the church is supposed to be the environment in which disciples are being made really all over the world.
So if they're going to make some adjustments to bring that thing back into alignment, if you were to say, what is like the top priority? What's a key to doing that?
Yeah. My truth is it all starts with leadership. And if the church leaders, if pastors, staff members, elders, deacons, whatever the case may be, if the leaders are not pointing the way, and if the leaders are not the ones that are bringing the church back into alignment with her original mission, then it's going to be really hard to see any progress made. And so the very first thing that needs to happen is that leaders need to go back and take a good look at the Great Commission. And ultimately, we have to decide to be obedient to what Jesus said. I've heard someone say that, when you tell your child to go clean up their room or to finish their meal, to clean their plate, you're not asking them to go out and quote, clean your room or clean your plate. You're not asking them to go out and write books about cleaning their plate or write songs about cleaning their room. What you really want them to do is to clean their room.
That's right.
And what you really want them to do is to clean their plate, finish eating what you gave them, And so ultimately, you want your children to obey you. And you know what? Ultimately, God wants a church that will obey Him. And if we will be about the business of making disciples that look like Jesus, that is what's going to change the world. And so we just need to be obedient to what Jesus Christ has called us to do and put our energies in that. And if we do that long enough and we do it well enough, then here's what's going to happen, is that we're going to see the power of God change the world.
And that is the key, faithfulness there to that call,
Amen.
to that command. So thanks, Ken. Appreciate that. And that is our desire, is to be faithful with what God has called us to do and making disciples. And we want to be a church that does that, and we want you as well.